spirit of matter. And we're on a Venus day, moon hour. Venus is in the 12th house in Spica. And do you want to join me to a random talisman? I know that the moon is releasing from Spica, and I know that I made an honoring of Spica basically yesterday, but this is Venus day and moon hour. And the moon is on Andromeda, releasing from Spica. So we're going to call on Aphrodite, and we're going to call on Spica. And because Venus is in the 12th, okay, I know Mars is in Cancer, squares Lilith, so it's not a good position, but I'm going to do just stickers. It's not the best of election, and I'm inspired by the work on Venus by Christopher Warnock, who made the talisman of Venus in the 12th house, where she was protecting from loss. And now that we have Venus Spica, so I'm going to call on Spica, I'm calling on Venus, okay? Because I want to do this with you live. It just happened, I didn't know what will I see. And I'm going to call on Andromeda. So the idea for these stickers is to basically curate loss, create justice, and reconcile, especially now when we think about situations of refugees, army recruitment, the risk of human trafficking, and Spica is about justice, but also success in trade, in such way that it gives you the wits, it gives you the luck, okay? So I'm going to call on Venus in Libra, I'm going to call on the 12th house, and I'm going to call and set intention, like Christopher Warnock, to have protection, and protection of those situations, okay, for protection of our bedrooms, protection of the astral and the dream realm. So psychic protection, protection from loss, protection from grief, and justice, okay, for when, yes, you need a sovereignty, justice, both in court, regular court, but also in court of the divine, for those who combat, let's say, targeted individuals, satanic abuse, and so on. I'm going to, and just the Venus in the 12th in Libra can do that, and with Spica is extra. I'm using the power of my intention for this, as you see, very on the spot. The Sun is in the 11th house with Al-Qaid and the midheaven in Leo. So Sun applying to oppose Neptune. Moon is on Andromeda constellation, 28 degrees Aries. So the moon is releasing from the opposition to this Venus. And yet, I'm going to call on Andromeda as well, because Andromeda constellation is good for release of hostages, protection from being kidnapped, reconciling. Also, if, by the way, if there's a couple that has, one has the wandering eye, that can create reconciliation as well. And this is also inspired by the work of Christopher Warnock, completely different ways, not how he does that. Okay, so that is the beginning. Let me bring some fire elements into this. So I'm just using some stickers and a pen. It's hopefully going to work for me. Yes. Oh, calling on Spica, Venus, and the 12th house protection. Oh, yes, you see the ascendant is ruled by Mars. So, might not be best of elections, but it's very focusing on power of intention. And we're going to give it a little screenshot for the moon hour. So beginning with Andromeda, Spica, and Venus in Libra. Libra and the 12th house. Then I'm going to do Venus Spica. And Andromeda. So and I'm doing a safe in and out of bed. So for some of these, I'm going to have them at two sides. Yes. Okay. Yes. Psychic and physical protection. Libra. Andromeda, let's see if I remember for Andromeda the symbol. Goes, it's not given here. Just want to have symbol of Andromeda because I forgot it and I just write it. But it's still useful, by the way. Andromeda talisman. Oh yes, but the other one, the other one. This is a Christopher Warnock. Here, this is Andromeda. Thank you. So it is 3 circles. This, and then we can have the symbol of Venus finally as it's supposed to be, with the sun and moon and the tiny axe. Libra, Spica, and of course Andromeda. Okay, here I'm just creating, I'm using incense stick, which is basically, it says sandalwood, but I wouldn't trust that. It's basically used for fire element. And that's a very special, okay, meaning, as you can see, for these 3 components. Again, because I'm setting the intention for the 12th house to protect from loss, protect our dream state, protect our sovereignty, okay, with all circumstances, then that is the power of intention that is playing a role here. Rather than elaborated ceremony, it's just very on the spot, not planned. And Just going to wrap it up. Just one line over these stickers. And because I have essential oil, then I will use a couple of drops of essential oil on the stickers themselves. And so I'm using rose essential oil. And you say, Shirley, have you gone crazy that you use it on a sticker? I said, yes. And it's appropriate because we are also protecting those who are considered crazy. So protection of the hospitals, not the hospital, but the people from hospitalization, from psychic wards, for protection of the people considered crazy, justice for people within these situations, also people jailed, or protection of people who been put in jail for wrong reasons or in risk of such situations, protection of political persecution, protection of, yes, the common people, okay, and that Mars in the sign of the common people, Moon on Andromeda, a protection of those people that have reaction to abuse, okay, for people called reactive abuse. So protection of them in court of law and difficulty for expressing themselves, protection of those of the speech, of the ability to speak, to be believed. And of course, recovery to those who need recovery. Yes, I'm going to put a little bit of the rose oil on my hand, which is the easiest, and then, yes, the rose to be treated with respect, with love, smells amazing. And this rose is, by the way, from Turkey. So give this blessing to not only people of Turkey, but people who suffered from people of Turkey, like Kurdistan, but also other peoples and other nations. And remember always, the shamanistic power of protection is by inclusivity and respecting of for the feminine, the masculine, and of children to have childhood. Okay, so free within, free both in and out of bed. Safe and free both in and out of bed. And I'm going to put in Angelica seed. And this is from Belgium. Very corresponding to the chart that we did today. Blessing to those people of Belgium that keep standing for those children that were kidnapped and to abolish expandable children. And this is curation from angelic realm, Archangel Angelica, imbued with these talismans. And the last one is from Philippines. And again, Philippines, deep protection of anything that's going on regarding to these topics. And blessing for the people that work in harvesting, in the agriculture, that bring us all these oils, and to create the changes in their life conditions. And this is Elemi. Very powerful curator. Has a Zen-like, and curator, because it balances for that which is order and chaos. And curates, it's the power to curate trees. Think about raisins, it's the power to curate trees. When a tree needs help, this is what helps the tree. And it's the balancing of the chaos and order, the yin and the yang. And again, Venus Libra is accentuating on that. So very, very powerful talismans. very powerful energy. Again, for 12 houses fit to make protection, shielding of the dream state. Only good energies enter, and only with respect in spirit and in matter. Here, shielding us the situations, all situations of life. Okay, and going to have this. Remember, this is also a financial, okay, financial protection, freedom from financial violence, reconciliation. People who are refugees or escaped being kidnapped that need accommodation. People need to stay in hotels, okay, for all these things. And I'm sending out this energy. You can watch this video. I'm sending out this energy into the world. And I feel like it's appropriate to prepare another set of these. Now we got our intention set. Yes, not yet. Well, let's take a look again at the current planets. So that was one set. I have the chart. Oh, because we might be already. Yes, so that's it. We stayed for the moon time, but now we started for the moon time. We're not going to make another. I got a no because of this is Saturn hour. So still appropriate that we finished that because we dealt with Saturn issues, but that was the very spontaneous talisman. And of course, I'm going to put it in my own bedroom for it to hibernate. You need a little safe space in my bedroom. The kittens have been making a mess of everything, but here it's nice. Hopefully I'll remember that, and it's going to be sitting there for a lunation, while I'm going to give it a little bit of incense stick. So that's something I did not expect. I did not expect for me to have a quasi-election now. Just discussion about the election. I know Mars is fallen, right? Mars in Cancer. So, and it is ruling ascendant. So this is usually not good election, okay? We would not make it good election. That being said, not every day do I wake up with the moon just going over Venus together with Spica, in-house that needs protection, okay, the bedroom and so on, hotels and hospitals and jails and stuff like that. So I make adjustment, and what I made for, and the moon is also, and Mars is also ruling the moon. So this is not election I planned for a reason, yes, but what I put for the intention is for those people who find it difficult to assert their no, to assert their boundaries. They usually say, oh, we want a strong Mars, but here we're honing on the power of Venus and the power of Spica to accommodate for the situation. Now, I don't know what will be, okay? This is experiment. And I say, okay, let's take for these conditions. And I want to tell you another thing. I made a while ago talisman of Uranus and Algol with Mercury. Now, I made 3 times, one Uranus Algol, 5th lunar mansion, which is once in 84 years. This one, if I will find another election, I will do. But this one is really, to get a piece of that, you really need to show to me that you are on it and that you are living and breathing this, the intentions of this talisman. Otherwise, you would not enjoy it so much. Or I'm given calling to give that to you. But before that, I made talisman. And the moon was in Pisces, so it was releasing from Saturn. Basically, it's not. We don't want the moon on Saturn is considered Sadasati in natal chart. We don't want the moon with Saturn, definitely not in conjunction, unless we make. And even if we pinpoint Saturn, we would want to, make the best conditions that the moon is not conjunct, that is sextile or trine, so we don't get the constrictions of Saturn so close to where we want to feel safe. Definitely not in Pisces. But the way I curate for this was with fifth lunar mansion. And yes, I'm not going to say that this is for sale, but if you join this and fifth lunar mansion, you get eurekas about anything Mercury, so trade and business and communication and so on and so forth, and even astrology. So once again, okay, it's important to be super selective in our elections. It's also important that when you're doing something for yourself, don't toss it away immediately. There are things you can curate, and watch the meaning of the talisman, okay? Watch the meaning of the talisman. It can bring you certain things that are important to your life path. So before you toss it away. That was just intended, as Venus Day, honoring of Venus, and spontaneously became something more. Let's see. Yes, Uranus is in the 7th house retrograde. Sun with Al-Qaid is pinpointed on that Uranus now. Although I could definitely try to pinpoint at the Sun, but the Moon is not touching the Sun. Sun Al-Qaid can be impressive. Sun is opposing Neptune, which is problematic. You know that I'm outer planet girl, I do pay attention. And Uranus is retrograde. So I don't know, okay? It's like, I'm not saying no, because Uranus will be Uranus, and we don't have a lot of time to capture Uranus in this position next to Beta Persei, but with the retrograde motion, I think I would still wait for Uranus to be direct. Now, two discussions of elections that I want to have. It's not the first is not mine. The entire astrological community has been waiting for Jupiter to ingress into Cancer, because it will conjoin Venus and yes, it will be Jupiter and Venus, and then the Moon strikes over this Jupiter-Venus conjunction in the first decan of Cancer, and people are literally planning to have babies. And they're scheduling to try to have babies in these situations. The two benefics conjoin together, and everybody wants to capture that. Why do I keep having Masonic symbols for the tarot? It's like, can't you see I'm doing SRA awareness? But hey, it's not against the Masonic, it's just to abolish expandable children. If Masonic rights abolish that genuinely, I think they will not be persecuted anymore. just an offering rather than sacrificing humans. How about abolishing human sacrifice? So one election we're going to have is with this Moon and Venus and Jupiter in Cancer. This is going to happen. Yes, her kittens are there. Everybody ate, everybody happy. She's just playing with them. Yeah, do you want to take a look at the solar eclipse in Libra for a second? It's October 2nd, very, very soon. We're going to have the New Year, the Jewish New Year, I think, is around this time, yes. The Lilith eclipse, we already taken a look at it, applying to square Mars, big grand trine with Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. I think all that is to say about this has been said, so I'll just keep on and see when do we have the ingress of Venus into... Okay, we have some time. So this is 2025 already, as we know. And let's just take a look at Venus. Venus ingressing. This is Venus ingressing into Pisces, and then we have, let's say, March, Venus ingressing into Aries, really? So it's going to be some time before that. Venus ingressing into, okay, so a little bit before that, and then just pinpoint Leo, so July. Venus enters Cancer. So we're talking about July 2025. I know it is far, and a lot of people are telling you, most of you won't make it to 2025, blah, blah, blah. First of all, what we see that the moon, until she ingresses, the moon will leave Spica. Yes, Saturn, Neptune is on Aries, so you want to watch out with the Mars elections. Uranus already in Gemini, conjuncting Sedna. And then we're going to be having the ingress of Venus. And we want to head Venus tighter and closer to Jupiter. So that is, and wait for the moon to conjoin. Let me give you the exact date. Okay, the moon is happening. Oh, it's happening on my moon. Oh, wow. Okay, to all the colleagues that energy got into my womb and asked me when will I have children. Okay, we definitely don't want the moon on this degree, but that's pretty much where it's at. Okay, that's pretty much, yes, we're going to take the moon applying a little later, not with Venus on the 22nd. So this is somewhere around August 19th or August 20th, where we're going to have this election. It's far, far away, but that's the thing everybody's been waiting for. Okay, Jupiter meets Venus meets Moon, the grand benefics. Pay attention that Mercury is releasing from an opposition to Pluto, and Mercury rules children. Okay, so as a natal of Mercury opposition Pluto, with Pluto in the 9th house, I am 40 years old and I still don't know if things I saw in childhood had to do with SRA that happened to other children or to other people or in other lives, or things that I don't know, okay? Not from my direct family, but definitely watch out with this hard aspects of Mercury that rules, or Jupiter to Pluto. This is conception chart, it's probably not labor chart, but just to keep it just to keep in mind, okay? I know Mercury is releasing from that, but just considerations. And we also have to consider that Venus and Jupiter are two different light sects. For those who do Hellenistic astrology, it's two different light sects. So it's conjoining of the benefic of your team and the benefic of the other team. I'm not saying there's anything bad or wrong about this. It's just like, hey, there are considerations to this election. For conception, I don't know if that particularly is that important, and it's not a bad election, but that's the thing. Now let's go a little bit earlier, and we're gonna go back to and Uranus is going direct in 20. Yikes! In 23 is so close. Why am I saying yikes? Because when Uranus was on degree 21, we had 7th of October. And Uranus degree 22, I have to admit, I don't remember what happened because I was doing Water Expands Upon Cooling season 1. It just happened. So, and look at it, midheaven. So Uranus is going to go direct January 30th, 23 degrees of Taurus. If you want to capture just Uranus in Taurus, okay, it's conjoining Beta Persei, but there's some 2 degrees away, 3 degrees away. So if you want to capture this Uranus in Taurus and the colon Beta Persei and the 5th lunar mansion, this is the time where I would begin to, okay, grind, because we, first of all, we want this. Secondly, this is one fantastic election, okay? Particularly this one. So this is going to be Saturday, February 1st, 2025. Moon is conjoining Venus in Pisces and the Neptune in Pisces. So we have a Moon Neptune. We have the energy of the bisextile here, all planets, all outer planets direct, okay? I am taking this from Middle East. So you want to see, adjust this election to you. Yes, there is this aspect with fallen Mars. It's a trine. It's not pinpointed here. Also pay attention to this anaretic Rahu, okay? It is given Moon Rahu, but it's also given Venus Rahu. This is an election, and I got this before hell was Astro. I'm sure she's doing a Venus talisman on this day. So this is pinpointing, you know, my talismans tend to be very congested. I tend to have a lot of sky bodies in one go. And this one is Venus in Pisces, which is degree of exaltation, Venus Neptune. So this is not Venus in Pisces that you are go for, you know, your marriage, okay, to create partner, to create this, to create that. And the reason being is that this is the dream state of Venus. It's very, you could use it for tantric Venus and receive protection of Beta Persei, where the midheaven is right on Beta Persei, and the moon is applying in sextile. So you could say, okay, apply for psychic shielding for my tantric astral practices of when you in the dream state and you have, you know, eroticism, erotic dreams, but also creativity, painting. Okay, this is not, but you know, if you are already having some Venus Neptune, okay, I have Venus separating from a trine to Neptune. So it's less malefic for me to use a conjunction because I can back it up with the trine and the sextile that is still dreamy, but it's not out of touch with reality. So, and if you call on the Beta Persei, you can call on this shielding and on this sextile to Uranus. You may have fantastic relations that have a dream-like quality. You would need to ground it in your own natal chart. So I'm not outruling this for a relations talisman, but for me, I find this more erotic pleasure, erotic dreams, having a curation, especially if you need a curation for like your sexuality from all kinds of stuff, and to be shielded with the power of Beta Persei, because Beta Persei, you know, she protects the boundary like nothing, okay? She's protecting of the boundaries sexually and so on. That can be excellent if you need a dream-like quality, so art, a creation. If you want to take the programming of like Alice in Wonderland or the MK Ultra programming and to turn it around, okay, to alchemize it, to shield it, to have the same dream-like quality, but not with manipulating and all the dark forces, but rather to alchemize into the light or recover from this. So create entertainment industry that is really supportive of our erotic expression and the shielding of our boundaries. That can be excellent election. Yes, moon, do note it's moon Rahu. Usually we don't want moon Rahu. I am inspired by Helwas Astro that did the Venus in Taurus with Rahu and the moon, and because Venus was with Rahu, very, very powerful. Her Venus in Taurus talisman is the best selling for her, and I'm using that. So yes, it does take a mitigation sometimes. I like to bring her Venus in Cancer for the mitigation, because it can send you off really far. And yes, that Venus is opposing my Saturn, so sometimes I would get like criticism, and I was like, I would bring the Venus, but this is natal chart. It's not for the people, and it's going to bring a deep Venus, deep the in-breath. And in Pisces, the in-breath is very powerful. Do note that right here we have Jupiter on 11th degree, so I would add people who have suicide ideation and stuff like that to alchemize this. And this is not something that I would give, like if I make this talisman, I would not sell it to the public right away, because it's making experiment with 11th degree, and this is experiment of alchemizing and recovering, most, okay, I say this, on the one hand, all the leaders, all the actors, all of these people, they've been through intense torture, sexual torture, both as perpetrators and as victims. And they supposedly function and so on. That being said, I'm half Dutch. In countries where we have ability to have suicide, assisted suicide for mental health conditions, most of the requests for this reasoning are because of incest and child sexual abuse. Usually, especially child sexual abuse outside the family, because within the family the person would not get to have the support initially. And this is also something to be considered scientifically, that for most reasons that people want to say, I want to off myself because of psychological reasons, has to do with some form of satanic ritual abuse, which is the main prevalent cause of what we consider mass murderers and incest and so on and so forth. It's usually satanic ritual abuse and the side effects of it. So this is, and still open dialogue housing first can assist to curate if person is really having sovereignty and is believed, and if and yes, conditions need to change, okay, because a lot of what people consider the flashbacks of war, so those people that had CPTSD or PTSD from war, and I dare say CPTSD from war as well, because it's a prolonged situation. A lot of it, cases you did not rape, because if you did rape is different, okay, you are recovering as perpetrator and not just as defender of country, but cases where you didn't rape, and maybe you don't even remember if you did or didn't, what you see, you think is flashbacks, sometimes is triggered, it's not flashbacks, or the flashback is triggered because they're still perpetuating war, okay, so you're not post-traumatic, you're just more attuned to what's going on in the world, and just knowing that, or considering this interpretation, can be a resilience point to you, where you say, okay, of course I'm still dealing with that because situation hasn't changed, and I'm not post-traumatic imagining things, having flashbacks. I know that happens, that remind me of what happened to me, that looks like a psychotic episode, but it's not. And I set intention for you to get the rest that you need, and the point of interference, the best recovery from trauma is the point of interference, and see what the point of interference for you can change the situation, knowing that it's bombarded with cults right now, but it's also time of the falling of many cults. So that might be very useful. Mercury here for this election is in Aquarius. Some people say Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and I agree, because Aquarius, it's fixed sign. It's true, it can be dogmatic, but Aquarius is also the sign of the big sciences, okay? Not just the micro sciences, but the big sciences, the cosmology, and the small Mercury, the small details, and the conjoining of applied science can be very good for Mercury Aquarius. This is completely my theory. I'm not sure it's correct. I haven't checked it in charts of people, but I like position of Mercury here, and I would definitely, this is February 1st, 2025, I bet definitely set intention, because I'm going to call on Uranus. It's very packed, okay? And I'm going to call on the bisextile here. Absolutely. Good reasoning to call on the B6 Jupiter is in detriment with 11 degree, but you saw what I'm using it for. If Jupiter won't move around from this. If you want to pinpoint this election, let's say when the moon is in Taurus, still possible. I don't know. I don't know. So this is one election, February 1st, 2025. We have the pact here of Uranus and Algol. Now let's see for the fifth lunar mansion, because fifth lunar mansion, yes, this is skipping off the moon in Aries, and now we got moon in Taurus. So that's interesting, because moon in Taurus, in the beginning, it's applying to square Pluto, where if I want to point at the B6, I would rather have it conjunct Uranus. Now, if you don't listen to me, and you don't have to, I am working with the Venus talisman in Taurus by Helwas Astro, where the moon was squaring Pluto, okay? And it's okay. I still get a lot of good benefit from this, because traditionally you don't care about the outer planets. So you have to consider this as well. You can have good third lunar mansion. I need to look at the election. Oh, Venus is already in Aries, which I don't like about this, because Venus Aries is very combative, and Mars is in Cancer. So this is not good election, unfortunately. We're gonna have to go. Okay, I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna bring the moon to where it should be. The moon should be around here, and I want it on the okay, it should be around here. And this is appropriate for another Uranus fifth lunar mansion, and so on. Now, Venus is not in a good stage. You can try to go for moon fifth lunar mansion. This is a Wednesday, so it's a Mercury day. But I would prefer to skip a month, and I'm going to take it 1 month forward, and then a day forward. Not even a day needed. I think 6 hours would be enough. So, yes, 12 hours. You, of course, people. Correct, yes. Okay, Venus is retrograde. Here, Venus is retrograde in Aries, so this is giving bad news. I really love this election. This is a very shielding and protecting election. Okay, where you get the power of the sky god and the power of Beta Persei, and whatever you have to shield from, and the power of the B6. Everything's still direct, but Neptune Rahu is very interesting. Okay, it's a very experimental. You see that I began my work with doing a Mercury talisman and a Beta Persei talisman. That was my introduction to astrological magic, very likely because the people that founded astrological magic already did the tried and true, and I meant to go further. Okay, I meant to go forward. So my introduction to astrological magic was very powerful and very intense, and was pretty much, hey, take the most dangerous thing that you can conceive of, that is Algol, without checking if she's minima, do a talisman of that, and absolve yourself of fear, because you're meant to experiment. And I have been highly experimental when I was doing my essential oils, and with the talismans, I'm extremely experimental, and yet not ungrounded, okay? So what allows me to do something like, hey, the moon was next to Saturn, let's put fifth lunar mansion and see what happens, is exactly because I'm not ungrounded. When I'm doing these experiments, I understand that those are one heck of experiments. I let go of 10 years of a decade-long connection with someone who was my very best friend, because he said, if you do astrological magic, I cannot. And I didn't think I would do it, but I'm doing it. And not only I'm doing it in a way that is groundbreaking, because literally none of my colleagues tries anything like that openly. And if they do, it's after decades long of training, delving into the outer planets and so on. Yeah, you don't see people, but look at the elections we have. Okay, we have the B6. I had to be prepared. I had to be doing what I'm doing at this time. So this is not a prescription for you to do things like I do, or to delve into these dangers like I delve, please understand that I'm doing this very, very grounded, and I'm doing this following a type of practice that's been very, very intense, where my very first talisman was Algol, and I made eclipse talismans, and like really stuff that you're not supposed to do, and I prescribe for you not to try, okay, unless you have a deep calling, because what I'm doing with that is, so far, I haven't seen anybody doing that on the mic, okay? Behind the scenes, very likely, but I haven't been doing that. I haven't seen anybody doing that with the mic on, and that is also a disclaimer, okay? Disclaimer, because this is not just astrological magic. What you see here, it's pinpointing at something way beyond not only the tradition of astrology and astrological magic, but of what we do with magic itself. Okay, there are people who do the same things traditionally and get very good results. They're very good if you are doing something that's protecting yourself, and it might be also good for the beginning of practice of also helping others. This is something that literally none of my colleagues has delved into in that way, and for a reason, okay? And it's the conjoining of tremendous groundedness and the fact that my initiation to astrological magic was like, hey, let's do an Algol talisman. And I didn't know that that's what I'm doing. I thought I was doing channeling essential oil blend. And I said, look at the chart. And it was an Algol talisman. Later was an eclipse talisman. And I said, okay, I got to do astrological magic, because if not, it will happen anyway. And that was my initiation, okay? Most people don't get it like that. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This election, it has a Venus retrograde. What we're not supposed to do with that is Moon Taurus. What we're not supposed to do, but Beta per se, again, I would rather have Venus in a better place. So I would not take this election. So without this Venus, maybe. And Mars, look at Mars. The ruler of Venus is fallen in Cancer. Not appropriate. Let's go another month, because we are preparing for the Uranus, and I want you to be, those of you that feel calling, I want you to be part of this. We're going to magically capture the bisextile, okay? The aim is to magically capture the bisextile and to ground it, because it's highly protective. If you want to do Copernicus, you're protected, okay? Definitely the people that misuse it, they already misuse it. But if you want to bring in this energy and be protected and use astrological magic into that, then this is possible for you. And I want you to have this opportunity. So I'm trying to do my best to pave the path so that those of you that feel the calling can join without eluding you that you're delving into safe territory, because nobody tried this. The last time I listened to Victor, last time we had anything like the bisextile was the 1300s, okay? Nobody alive done that. Nobody that we know done that. And with those that did it in hermaphrodite cults that sacrifice children. So, hey, okay, I want you to have access to these too. Now, here we have a Venus retrograde in Pisces conjoining Saturn. Obviously, that's a no. I'm going to go another month. Venus in Aries now, again, forging me forward. But Pluto is also retrograde. So, we also have to take into account that Venus. Okay, let's go to last month. Venus is with Neptune and Saturn, which I don't like. Okay, I'm going to have to do another episode on this. Okay, in only July 2025. Oh, no, wait, no. So let's take it a week back. And what do we have here? Okay, I don't want the moon from Leo, although moon in Leo is not bad. It's my 6th house, so I prefer, let's take it another week back. Couple of things we have. Now let's go day by day. Okay, so this day, 6 hours back, yes, she's the one, okay? Okay, what do we got here? Shirley Style. This is Sunday, it's the day of soul, and we're gonna have to work with the hour. This is 3:22 a.m. by the way, so it's keeping you up all night. But don't worry, when the moon is about to cross Uranus, you will be up all night, so you don't have to worry about this. What I don't like is Rahu 22 Pisces. And Venus ruling, no, Venus not ruling Ketu. Okay, so these folks are in the background. Moon in Cancer, which is Sun in Cancer, is the sign of the moon. She's square in Saturn. And this is a soul day. It's not a soul day because this is actually for the Sunday, 3 a.m. It is not Sunday. It is Mercury day. And Mercury is in Cancer next to Procyon, mind you. Okay, what things I don't like? The Sun, Jupiter, squaring Saturn, Neptune. Okay, why I don't like this? Because I want to capture the bisextile. That being said, I'm not going to have a clean election for the bisextile. It's 3 planetary bodies that need to be in harmony with everyone. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay, so we got to do what we got to do. This is why I said that you want to use something like honey. We want to use honey. Okay, you want to use honey because very much inspired by the Temamundi work of Caitlin Kopok, who would probably be bewildered if she only watched anything like this. But she took stuff like oils or body butters, stuff that you can blend into another so that she can comprise them in a ceremony to the birthing chart of the universe, which has multiple components. So if we want to be sextile, we definitely want to have like a moon Uranus, moon Pluto, and then moon Neptune. And you can get the moon Neptune after Saturn moves a little bit from Neptune, because Saturn with Neptune is, you don't want that. But then you can get the moon from still Pisces applying to Neptune in Aries when Saturn says goodbye a little bit. And then you can conjoin these honeys together. Okay, you can conjoin these honeys together. I would pick the 5th lunar mansion to conjoin. Okay, for when the moon is on 5th lunar mansion, luckiest of lucky is one good day to conjoin for these parents to do this ceremony together, and shielded by Beta Persei. Must, okay, shielded by the 5th lunar mansion is giving you the mind solutions, and Beta Persei or Dene Balgedi, but giving you the shielding. I think appropriate is Beta Persei for what we are for what we are dealing with. Okay, and so you can make ceremony to conjoin these honeys together, and then you have the bisextile. Okay, if you have the bisextile, then you have the bisextile, then you can have the bisextile with the 5th lunar, the bisextile with Beta Persei, the bisextile with Dene Balgedi. That can amp up for your creation, and this is something that with honey you're setting the stage. So again, I don't please, if you can get your hands on ethically sourced honey, there are ways of where they grow the bees, that they don't put the bees into strains of temperature, that they don't torture the bees. That would be, if you can get that, I set intention for me to have access to this. If you can make the honey in a way that is still preserving, okay, and also mind you that the people who are beekeepers, they can save the queen bee at the end of her life. So instead of the queen bee being murdered, because at the end of her life, basically the entire pack is murdering the queen. But if the queen bee, she can save from being murdered and be grown in another situation where basically the tribe cannot get to her, and then the interference of the beekeeper is actually in favor rather
than the natural. Okay, it's not necessarily natural, because what is natural is affected by entire nature, including humans. But that way you can get the harvesting of the honey in a way that interferes in nature in favor of nature, and that is what we want to create and what we want to capture with the B6 So that is something that if I could get my hands on, if you know beekeepers that have this, that are selling honey, then I would be interested. If I find out, that I will share with you gladly. And why honey? Because honey preserves. Okay, I am making experiments with using essential oils with the honey. Anything you add into such component is creating another challenge, because that's why I use essential oils. It's the harvesting, it's the agriculture, it's many things, and the fact that, you know, not to buy from a pyramid, but that is many things that's going into that. And even if you just consecrate honey without any herbs that you didn't grow yourself or something like that, even if you just consecrate honey, the power of this clean election and the honey to last for centuries, it's basically something that they would look back into, the 2000s, and from whichever planetary body will be, or humanity will be, or the aliens will be, I don't know, and they will look at this, and this consecration, they will find this historical artifact. But not only that, that will be available for humanity to preserve the benefits of the B6 and the protection of these three planetary bodies, and to bring it also into other planets where we don't have these aspects, or that we may have other aspects into humanity. So we're thinking in not just centuries, but beyond centuries, where that is useful. So honey would be my go-to. And then for the ritual of consecration, you can do, yes, you can do rocks and talismans from rocks, which is, yes, very, very useful when you do that. Now, for any ritual, for any rite that you do, the more you can keep it clean, okay, the more you can keep it, it's like, okay, I know where I got this honey. I know where I got this jar from. Recycled jar is very appropriate, especially for the Pluto. Pluto is recycling, so recycled jar can be very appropriate. And I would even say that don't get stressed on the herbs, okay? Pluto means recycled. Uranus is something you set intention to, and Uranus gives you the things. Neptune means surrendering something. So you don't have to think traditionally, okay? You don't have to think traditionally. If you use the recycled jar and you use the honey that interferes in nature, in favor of nature, and you use, okay, you surrender the process, and you don't have to worry about preservation so much as you would with body butters and stuff like that. And the power of intention, then you already got the outer planets. You already got the outer planets. You already got the energy working in your favor, and in very subtle, and you already got the B6 working in your favor. Not only that, it's not a bad idea under this apocalypse to gather yourself some honey that you can get your hands on, and use this honey and preserve this honey. Is also good for generations. So you're also doing something that in worst cases where you have to feed society, honey is something that has contained both sugars, that is antiseptic, that can be used as first aid. So you're doing something that has good qualities for humanity, and your magic is also very practical in that sense. So what I like about this election, first of all, Moon conjoining Venus. Venus, this is happening in the middle phase of Taurus. For lunar mansion, not good. Lunar mansion is not the one we capture with this election. But for the phase of Taurus, the sixth phase of Taurus, the phase of success, for where you want good, and it's not a wonder that I got this channeling that of what to do with the honey and stuff when the moon was here, because this is the face of success. So we want to maybe call on the middle face of Taurus. I don't know if Austin will have his book by then, but the middle face of Taurus is basically good balance of rest and I call it the deacon of will and consent. It's good balance between, Austin calls it the yoni lingam. It's the basically balance of yin and yang and balance between rest and work. And this is creating success. It's also creating good orgasms, but it's also creating success. Very, very powerful. And Venus Taurus on this deacon. So I would call the power of the deacon, the power of moon in Taurus. I wouldn't call for this because this, if I call the power of moon in Taurus, it's already given me connection to the lunar mansion more so than I want to create. Okay, I want the moon in Taurus in either the first phase or the third phase, but I'm not saying no. Okay, if you say I just want the moon in Taurus, okay, then get the moon in Taurus. But for me, I feel like I would want to call on the Venus in Taurus and the phase of Taurus that is pinpointing at basically tantric success. Okay, a good balance of yin and yang, work and rest, to succeed happy. Okay, to be satisfied. I'm fortunate enough to have the sun in this deacon, but it's opposed by Saturn. So and with Venus, it can give creative projects, connections, honor of that which is Venusian. And look where the ascendant is. Ascendant is right on Beta Persei with Uranus on the anaretic degree of Taurus. So if I go a little bit farther, we're already delving into Uranus in Gemini, which is conjoining Sedna. Now it's important to mention that Uranus is still applying to conjoin Sedna here. So it's not something that traditionally you would pay attention to. Sedna reverence is appropriate, and I discuss in length what is Sedna reverence when Sedna is in Gemini. And I have to admit, this is useful, okay? This is useful, something that I've been tending to, and I have seen this at work a lot. I told you I'm residing in Israel, and during 7th October, they did something with the global intelligence to basically isolate the people so you wouldn't talk to the people. And we were basically Maui, and there was no difference between Gaza and Israel in terms of the strategy of global intelligence to create a democide and, take over the resources and real estate and control the people. But they masqueraded it so well that it was very difficult. And literally, we were put in the position where they wanted us, that everybody is against you, you're the new Nazis, and so on and so forth, with nobody to talk to. I give Sedna reverence, and I wasn't expecting at all, because I was just giving Sedna reverences for Sedna in Gemini, and one of my Sedna reverences going for listening to Inuit people, learning about their practices. She was Inuit goddess, and there was some news place that I heard about where Inuit people were supportive of Israel. And at that time, I'm not particularly nationalist, okay? I'm a citizen of the world. But at that time, it was something that was so needed, as somebody to be on your side that is, it's not the player of saver, victimizer thing that's going on. And that was coming from Sedna people, okay? The Sedna worshipping people. So just imagine at this point where you're completely isolated, you're absolutely not warmongering yourself. You understand what's going on a global level, completely not coming from nationalistic place, completely not coming from oppressive place, and literally the whole world is against you. And you say, I give Sedna reverence, and from Inuit people, you get this this support. Which is the origin of origins, okay? This that we know of as human society. So just look at a small paying reverence to Sedna, at the power it had to be a heartbone. So you want to watch my Sedna videos, okay, where I discuss that in length, and my experiences with Sedna. So this is a very, 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 very powerful thing to keep. So this election can pinpoint Venus in Taurus, and I need to check. I would need to check if Algol is minima. It's happening in the middle of the night. I would need to check if Algol is minima. If not, Urano Algol. Downright Urano Algol. Let's take a look. Let's take it 6 hours forward. You see, and that was first house, okay? First house, ascendant on Algol, the moon in applying. It's not tight, but because we have the ascendant, we can still point on Beta Persei. So here we have the midheaven option. Yes, if we take it, let's just take it 1 hour back. Then another hour back. Wow, okay. This is already excellent. The moon is right on applying to Venus. This is completely Venus in Taurus. She is in good position. She's not making any hard aspects. This is a decreasing moon, so I don't know what phase of Venus is this. Is she visible, not invisible? I always watch Tukrasi when it's about invisibility. And there's another channel to do with Venus. I will link it when I see it down below. I will link it. There is a YouTube channel for women that living, breathing, everything Venus, connection to the asteroids. I totally need to watch her channel as Venus Reverence myself. So when I find her channel, I will link it below. So this is 22 June 2025. Very good Venus selection. This is in the 11th house. If she is evening star, we use her as a Resh Kigal, and I have made a talisman inspired by Crasia Tassio. I did it with tropical astrology, but it was Venus in Taurus as a Resh Kigal. I was not expecting this, okay? So some of it, because I use essential oils and body butters and stuff like that, so some of this is because, you know, my work with the oils are just good. And they give you nice feeling, but definitely the sense of coziness that I felt with the energy, it was so powerful, it was so needed that at first I didn't know what to think or what to expect. It gave me very cozy feeling, and Venus is evening star, very shielding, very protective. So again, because she's a Resh Kigal doesn't mean you cannot do talismans with Venus. But this was actually a good Venus talisman, and you work for it for the cozy feeling that this gives. This tells me that I would need to make these body butters. Okay, I would need to make what I did, and yes, and take one and dilute it so I can have more from it. I will need to recover the chart because I always do screenshots. But this was also in the middle phase of Taurus, and this was Venus. I think I did go for Moon Taurus and Moon Venus in Taurus. Venus is a Resh Kigal. Very, 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 very powerful. Okay, so this one is also Moon Venus in Taurus. She's not doing very much. And now let's go forward to where the moon enters. In a couple of minutes, and when the ascendant leaves this, this is a Sunday, so I do want that on the 7th house. It's not bad. Let's take another hour. Okay, I would begin for this. I would begin. Let's see. Okay. If I want Taurus in the 5th house, 5th house, it means my ascendant Saturn. Saturn is in Aries with Neptune. Okay, is ascendant Capricorn. Now, this is a 5th lunar mansion talisman. Saturn is appropriate for Beta Persei. Moon is on Beta Persei. And we want Uranus. Saturn is also ruling Pluto. This is beginning of capturing of several things. Let's take a look at Venus is in Taurus. Geen probleem. And Mars is not. Mars is releasing from a square to this. Now it's releasing. First of all, it's a releasing aspect. And secondly, like I said, when you capture the bisextile, yes, the IC sitting on there. If I take it a couple of minutes backwards, I will have midheaven on Spica, which I can call on as well. I do take this capture. Okay, this is 25 June, where I am in the evening. So this is first of all 5th lunar mansion. Yes, Mars, not Mars, 5th lunar mansion. We call in on the 5th lunar mansion. Mars is separating. There's quite a big orb. I would capture 5th lunar mansion. Okay, I would take it into account and see how it goes. Secondly, Moon Algol. If Algol is not minima, and you need to check if Algol is minima. If Algol is not minima, Moon Algol. Then Moon Uranus. Just Moon Uranus. Okay, Moon Uranus, and again, you saw how I do it with the stickers. Same thing you do with a jar of honey. You consecrate it. You can inscribe on it if you want, or you can put even a sticker that you put the sellotape on, and it will last to you. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, the consecration is what matters. Okay, if you want to put a drop of essential oil or some herbs, the dried herbs, it's okay. If you grew some dried herbs, it's okay. What would be herbs I use for Uranus? Anything that balances the nervous system. Uranus in Taurus. Wormwood is okay because wormwood or mugwort is absolutely great when we want to reach results that use our psychedelic system, okay, our nervous system, our endocrine system. Absolutely gorgeous. I even used essential oil rosewood on Urano Beta Persei with 5th lunar mansion. Fantastic. Okay, and I have to admit, I use it whenever my hormones are like, oh my God, I need it. I may have created an alternative. I'm not in menopause, but I may have created an alternative menopause remedy. I don't know. Maybe it just happened. You know, I wasn't intending to go there, but rosewood is excellent to balance our hormonal system. It's like I didn't mean to do that, but hey, wouldn't that be great? And it can prolong menstruation when needed in a natural way. But the reason I was putting that, which I just had this, and something gave me to put that, and this balanced my hormones. Whenever I'm mad and the moon is Uranusing, hard aspect to Uranus, I use this oil. I'm like, who would believe that a Uranus oil would be used to balance the nervous system? Like, that's exactly what it does. So it keeps me sane. And yes, but I said, if you want something that is useful for that, I would recommend to you to use essential oil blends with rosewood, and see if something helps you for excitatory nervous system. I would use that. That would be appropriate. If you want to go for like, surely I want some of your talisman, please understand, first of all, I would need to dilute it, so I don't know the effects. I will need to try. And secondly, I want you to be, and it's not that I'm giving you audition, it's just that I want you to be ready for what it entails, because it's it's antidote to the Holocaust. Do you understand that? It's antidote to the Second World War. Do you understand that? Okay, it's going to get you to do stuff that, like I'm doing. Watch my channel. Tell me if you want a piece of that. Like, okay, fine, go ahead. I'd love to have that, more people doing that. But I'm not going to sell it to you. It's like, oh, it's a once in 84 years talisman. That time when Hitler did the Holocaust. Okay? Because I could, and I'd make a lot of money at that, but you would not be necessarily a satisfied client. So that's something to consider. Already loving the energy of this bisextile, exciting energy. This is already given, okay? Capture the bisextile. You capture Moon Uranus, and you made another jar of honey, and you capture the bisextile with Saturn. Okay, capture the, like, this is the first step. We get to capture the bisextile. Until Saturn is going to move out of Neptune, the bisextile is, you know, going to be with Uranus and Gemini, which we wanted. It's going to be next to Sedna. You're going to have to know how to work with Sedna. Prepare, give reverence to Inuit today. Give reverence to Inuit today. Okay, is what I have to say to you for entire Sedna Gemini. But this is when we want to begin the bisextile with Taurus and with the fifth lunar mansion. Fifth lunar mansion is also lasting to Gemini. I love these energies with the Beta Persei. That's the last time we're going to be having a chance to capture Uranus in Taurus, very likely. So we capture this just to make sure I have, before I press. Okay, June 22nd. But notice where Rahu is. Rahu Ketu is on the 22 degree. And Jupiter is in Cancer. And the Mercury is in Cancer as well. But Mercury is on Procyon. It's both our moon signs. This is going to very likely be my calling on the remediation of the 22nd degree. Which means that I'm not calling you to do this election with that particular. Now you can do this election. It's very interesting. You could not do this election traditionally. Just pay attention to what is the 22nd degree, okay, and the ecliptic form of it, and then both the rulers of Rahu Ketu being in Cancer. Colon Procyon, colon Beta Persei. Because this one is, yes, I might be launching season 2 or season 3 by then of Water Expands Upon Cooling on this date. It's giving good election. Like, there's a fantastic election for that type of materia. Also for the family, okay, the Freezes that have Rahu Ketu on, if the Rahu Ketu is indeed Virgo and Pisces, it's good election for whatever you want to do there, with all the reverences that entails. So it's both good for the Freeze family and for anybody that wants to do that. But you have to work. Okay, you don't want to do Elon Musk launching X.com. Okay, it will backfire. You have to really pay the reverence. If you want to go all that way, and perhaps remediate what happened with the Peter Georgia case, that can be an experiment to launch something on that date. Do mind the 22nd degree is a fated ecliptic degree, so with all that it entails, okay, it's experimental. It's life and death experimental. So let's take it another month forward. Mars Ketu. Mars, would you mind to step a little bit away from, okay, Uranus is also already in Gemini. For the Uranus Beta Persei, Uranus Taurus, it's still Uranus fifth lunar mansion. If I do this, if I take it a couple of days forward, we have Jupiter in Cancer, which you can capture, but it's square in Saturn. Okay, so I wouldn't, it's not a magical election. It's simply put, okay, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, square in Saturn. It's not a good magical election. Moon square in Neptune, Ocnit. It's so weird to have the moon square Neptune from Cancer. But this tells me that we're gonna have some years when we want to capture like Procyon and Sirius and all that. It's gonna be something very fascinating because Neptune is going to be squaring Sirius, applying to square Sirius, squaring Sirius, but it's also going to be squaring Procyon. I don't know what to say. I mean, Pluto was squaring Procyon from the end of Capricorn. So yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. And we're done. We're not going to have. Okay, I really tried. I'm sure that if you are an electional astrologer, please, and you know some astrological magic, you can join me and please, in favor of humanity, look up some elections that we can put Urano Beta Persei, Urano fifth lunar mention Beta Persei. Again, I think that what I did was what I did, and I did it for the right reason at the right time. And it was very fated. It was very fated for me to do that as well. But again, if you have, if you want to take a closer look, I will try to take a closer look in the coming months. It was Saturn hour when I was doing that. So, you know, Saturn rules time, but please do inspect this coming year further. And I might even try to get the Uranus retrograde because when I see it's only such poor choice of elections and it's once in 84 years. Another thing I want to see is when does Uranus go back to Taurus? And I might capture the Uranus Sedna. I'm not promising anything. Okay, here is Uranus retrograde in Taurus, Venus in Scorpio. So I'm not, my FOMO is gone when Venus is in Scorpio. She's fallen, okay? She's in detriment, yes, fallen. And Uranus is going all the way to 27 degrees direct, I feel. Okay, we got it. February 2026. February 2026. Erstmal, we have a good third lunar mention, I think. Venus is in Pisces. The entire week, February 2026. This is 22. It's the birthday of my grandmama. It is February. Okay, it's 2 years from now. But Uranus will be on 27 degrees where it's at today. Just pay attention. What's happening today? 2026 will still be going through this. Just a saying. So, first of all, we can capture Venus in Pisces. And Vinarao is okay. Vinarao is fantastic. Venus in Pisces. We have a Venus in Pisces here. We have a third lunar mention as well. It's square in Pluto. The third lunar mention, luckiest of lucky, liquid gold, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to be having the moon approaching Uranus, fifth lunar mention with Venus. Okay, might go one day. It's exactly there. Mars is squaring this shit. Why? Come on. Okay. No, we can't have it with Mars squaring that. And Mercury on the 22. So we have the third lunar mention, but we have Venus in Pisces, okay? We don't have, look how much time. And we're gonna go another month forward because I'm not giving up this Uranus. Look at this. So Venus is not in good condition. Let's go another month. Oh my God. Where's the moon? Right there. The moon is opposing Pluto, though. This is April 2026, okay? So we won't capture the bisextile, but we will capture Venuranus, anaretic degree Taurus. We don't have fifth lunar mention for this. I suggest you make fifth lunar mention, honey, and then infuse it. And I suggest you infuse it because it's Venuranus, okay? You think about all the stereotypes you have of women, okay, when in menstruation, then that can help, yes. But with fifth lunar mention is, and you want to put rosewood in. So this is 2 years from now. But look at this moon. Moon is going to go on Procyon. So we're going to have a moon going on Procyon, in good position to Uranus and Venus from Cancer. It's a good election. Pinpointing from my place is this, the 9th and the 5th. So this is okay. Okay, you move the ascendant around a bit, so not to start on the malefic 18th degree, but yes, I love this. And look where I is on Fomalhaut, but it's not a but, it's and. But what I capture here is the Urano-Venus, okay? It's not a beta per se. The ascendant is going to be on beta per se, so you can capture it from the ascendant on beta per se. You have Urano-Venus. I would suggest, first of all, Uranus and Urano-Venus. Top priority, Uranus and Urano-Venus. Okay? Then, Urano-Venus, beta per se, or Urano-Venus, fifth lunar mention. Okay? Other play that you can do. Moon is going over what? Procyon, a couple of hours before that. But I would get this one and call on Procyon, just like I did today. I called Andromeda. And I called on Spica when the moon was releasing. Yes, it was not applying. It's a growing moon. F it, okay? Call Procyon. Call Procyon. Moon, Procyon, Cancer. Luna in Cancer, Procyon. Okay? Try it, because when you do moon Cancer, Kathleen Koppel did the Luna in Cancer. Okay, she said that was completely psychedelic and can be even psychotic. So most of us did not, you know, our humanity did not grow with love so much because of all these moon harvesting cults to try to infiltrate trauma, and the fact that, you know, sometimes you're born when you're born, okay, and then you have to remedy that. But you know, if Caitlin had a moon Rahu, and she did well with this talisman, she still managed to do well with this talisman. Then if your moon is not harshly aspected, you will be okay. It's very potent. It is lunar magic, and moon is the moon. So you want to read whatever Caitlin wrote, and I think she's coming with the book soon. So we want to read everything that Caitlin has to say about moon in Cancer, specifically moon in Cancer, to consider. And here we have opportunity to have moon in Cancer with Procyon. So Procyon is sweetening, and the entire thing, so you make like a fuga, okay? The entire thing, when you blend it in together, is very good potency to give relational remediation, combine it with the nervous system, honoring of feminine. Do mind the fact that it's opposing Pluto. So it's traditionally, it doesn't matter. But Uranus is trining Pluto, okay? And Venus is applying to trine Pluto. So while I didn't manage to capture this one with the moon, because Mars was making problems, but this election I already like. And if I go a couple of days backwards, let's see what happens when I do. Okay, go back to the moon. Fantastic. We have the bisextile. We have everything we need. I go a couple of hours forward. Those are hours to live for. Just 1 hour, 2 hours. What I want is the moon to enter the fifth lunar mansion. And look, it's doing it from the second house. It's doing it from the first house. But the ascendant would be with... Yeah, no, it's doing it from the first house. And it's a new moon. No, yes, it's the first crescent moon. This is the talisman of a millennia. You have the moon fifth lunar mansion. So this is 19 April 2026. Okay? Prepare your blue lotus, prepare your rosewood, prepare your rose quartz, prepare your ethically sourced rose quartzes. Okay? Set intention. And with Uranus, set intention, release. Set intention, surrender. Let it happen. And look where the lot of fortune is, right on Algol. Now, I don't know if Algol is minima or not. Okay, so we need to check that. But putting Algol aside for a second. Fifth lunar mansion, Venus in Taurus, Moon in Taurus. Fifth lunar mansion, Venus in Taurus, Moon in Taurus. The three talismans, okay? All you really need is the jars, and you set the prayers, okay? Set the prayers. You have the moon. You call on Selene, because we always call on Selene. Great. Call on Selene in Taurus. One jar. Then call on Venus after you call on Selene, okay? Second jar. Then call on fifth lunar mansion. Okay? Or you want to do it better, okay? Call on Selene. Selene in Taurus, one jar. Selene in Taurus, fifth lunar mansion, second jar. Selene in Taurus, fifth lunar mansion, Venus. Or Selene in Taurus, Venus. You set intention what you want to put in, and I would recommend you to do two jars, okay? One like this, one like that. Then you add in the Uranus component, and then you have Moon in Taurus, Uranus. You must make your Moon in Taurus, Uranus on this election, okay? Moon in Taurus, Uranus, fifth lunar mansion. I suggest you to. That would be even the one that you want to be infusing in, okay? And then remember, this is applied magic. It's not just for the theoretical sake. You want it to be usable. You want it to be practical. Okay, it's not just go crazy with your Moon and Uranus. Bring in the fifth lunar mansion to balance the nervous system. Okay, balance spirit and matter. Then Moon, Venus, Uranus. Okay, Moon, Venus, Uranus. Now, Venus conjunction is powerful. What do we bring in? Fifth lunar mansion. Okay, and then and you don't need a lot of that. Okay, just you give the intention, even if you can't. Like today, I didn't have the time to say all the prayers. You set intention forward. Okay, I'm setting this. I'm seeding the seed today, and you set the intention forwards. Now, what you're going to do is you want to go and hone in on the bisextile. Okay, you want to have another jar where it's all ready for the bisextile. Okay, it's a lot of honey. For the bisextile, you have an anaretic Uranus. If you can capture an anaretic Uranus, just say anaretic Uranus, okay? 29-degree Uranus. Very, very powerful. And this little jar, you want to pass it down to people because that will allow people to prevent Second World War, to prevent financial crisis, to prevent issues where people don't have the studies and the teaching that they need to honor feminine, honor masculine, balance the spirit and matter, wherever you are on the planet, okay, or in the galaxy. For this, the essence of this teaching is still relevant. So that you want to pass down, and the anaretic degree is the degree of completion and degree of premonition. Okay, so this is very important to capture Uranus in this degree. Going to have a lot of Eurekas. A lot have been said about the Uranus-Jupiter, but mind you, the Uranus-Jupiter people, natives, have still been raping children, okay? When you talk about, it's no longer alive, so you can say that, you know, Steve Jobs. Yeah, he's been with Epstein, okay? So, and I'm not saying this is judgment. They were born into these cults. Let's talk about the Veneranus. Veneranus will give you the Eurekas that you need, okay? And the vice of Venus is war. Vice of Zeus is incest. Okay. Now, if you work talismanically and you say, I want to curate it, of course you will curate it. You can cure incest. You can cure not just incest of victim of incest, but people to not bifurcate to be an offender. That's something you can do with the Jupiter-Uranus. Just with Uranus better per se. With this Uranus, Mercury, with all these things, you can set intention and the curation can reach like Eureka. This is powerful, powerful stuff. Okay, and if you are like me, if you're working with Tema Mundi or with moon talismans, then it's adding to the potency. It's increasing the potency, and Uranus is generational, intergenerational. Just imagine just we can break intergenerational lineage, karmas, curses, patterns of millennia upon millennia. So that's something you definitely want to capture, and you have the bisextile here. Yes, Saturn is with Mars, blah blah blah, the ruler of this, the ruler of that. You will not get a clean election here. If you can get a better election of the Neptune, okay. But the first chart that you already captured, the bisextile we had, this is another one. Okay, this is actually the first because we went back. This is another one. You capture the bisextile. Okay, so you want to watch this video over and over again. You got 2 years to prepare. Get great. Begin to consecrate stuff with just honey. Honey, some incense, I don't know, even simple incense. I know Christopher Warnock is just using like frankincense incense. He's sensitive to the smell, and lighting a candle, and it works. And his talismans are very, very powerful. Okay, he uses them as a day of as a consecration, everyday consecration. But you understand, you cannot have everyday consecration for like Pluto, Uranus, and stuff like that. You set the stage, and you work with this, and you work with the energy, and carrying the talisman itself is a vehicle for the reverence, because the skies is changing. Okay, after 2029, we don't have this bisextile. Last time it was 1300s. We want to capture this for humanity. So as many rocks, as many honeys. This is why I'm doing this, because I want you to share this with people that are into this, that feel the calling, because as much as we can capture humanity from this bisextile and put good energy into it, this will serve a life not only on this earth, but intergalactic for millennia, for generations and generations, for centuries upon centuries, that we can have the antidote, the remedy, the people that carry the timestamp, okay, the rocks, the honey, of interference in nature in favor of nature. And also I want to tell you something about myself. I'm currently taking part for doing it myself in my own, the place where I live, my own backyard, of reforestation. Is basically the beginning of digging the half moons. I talked about this, okay, the half moons for soil that is, infertile, looking infertile, it's not infertile, but we want to harvest the water. So we make basically geometric shape of the half moon, and we dig it into the soil, and we make a little slope, okay? So what happens, we dig a little half moon into the soil with a little slope, we harvest the water. Inside the soil, there are roots, the things growing. It's not infertile soil. The soil is very fertile. We just need to shape it correctly for it to harvest the water. And so us human beings can do to re-fertilize the soil. You don't even have to plant anything in, because there are already things growing in. If you want to plant, you can. And then it basically reforests, revegetates the soil, okay? Something that you can read about. It was done in Sahara. I know this Chinese Liu Lu, hope I was pronouncing it correctly, is going country to country for making these projects. And there are many ways to do natural irrigation. If you're like me and you can say, okay, when I'll be 80, I will not necessarily be able to water the soil. And then, it is labor, and the way we've been doing agriculture has led to industrialized society that caused problems. But now we can reforest so much so that that we're contributing with setting the seed, but then something grows there for generations upon generations. All we have to do is just not to ruin it. Okay, again. So if you have like a backyard or something like that, this is something simple you can do, where if you don't have a lot of budget for gardening, is actually something you can make of that is good. My third house is opposing Pluto, so this is great Pluto remedy, and I'm doing it in my Pluto square. So this is another timestamp of me, the magician, doing something that is interfering in nature in a favor of nature. And because we are used to our interference is always to control nature, to repress nature, to subdue nature. And it has its reasoning, okay? Nature could be lethal to us, was lethal to us. So we had to like take control of it. And now there are places where we can see, oh, we can work with nature. We don't have to be controlling of nature, but we can actually initiate the natural and enjoy the fruits rather than be feared of being replaced. Okay, one of the great fears that we have humanity is basically the replacement, fear of being replaced, and so on. And here you set seeds for to grow even evergreen forests many millennia. So that is upon the culmination of Uranus in Taurus and the protection of the bisextile, those forests can be protected for at least a couple of centuries. Okay, if we had the last one in 1300, and we make sure you can make these talismans for the earth, and that can be preserving, okay, of forestry, shielding of forestry, and shielding of life within forest, shielding of humanity. And this is why I like the Venusian here, because connection is highly important. Connection is keeping us healthy. And in Taurus, you can have connection not so that you blend completely into, but rather that you can maintain your sovereignty and autonomy. It's still a very territorial sign. And that's going to be nourishing for many years. So those are the type of things that the more of us do, the more we can set the stage for basically at least a couple of centuries, and even a millennia and a half. So that is a great thing that even before we talked about sadhana, we can do with this bisextile. So intention with the outer planets goes a long way. So my prediction is that you will have not too much worry about the things that you normally worry about, because the power of intention is here to set the stage. And if you find it difficult to even so much to set intention, then just hold that, and intention comes to you. Okay? It is coming from energies and frequencies and waves from very far away, and you would be surprised at the subtlety you need to move mountains, very literally. So I think we had some achievement. Okay, we've covered some ground. And meanwhile, we touched at the upcoming Venus talismans. Now, because I'm looking at upcoming Venus, I want to see when will we have Venus in Taurus again. So let's see, because Venus is now here. She's in Aquarius. December, she's in Aquarius. So it's not before 2025. And usually she likes to delve into Taurus around May. So I'll be looking for her. Okay, let's just go to April. Sometimes she likes to go early. No, she's entering Aries, and she's going retrograde, so she will be late a little bit, and we're gonna go to June. She enters Taurus June 6th, a very harmonious degree. And the moon is in Libra, in a bisextile with Mars and Mercury. Yes, okay. The ingress of Venus, okay, yeah, she squares Pluto. Because the moon is in Venus sign, and Venus in the 11th here, and the moon is okay, ascendant Cancer, we got an election. So 6 June 2025, upon the ingress, really upon the ingress, it's 7:43 where I am. You want to adjust the timing. And how we do it, if the ascendant here is on Sirius, actually, on my moon, ascendant is ruled by the moon is ruled by Venus, all of them in okay houses, okay, and Venus is sextiling Jupiter in Gemini and trining Mars, releasing from trine to Mars. She's doing well. So what I need to know is just, is this, am I calling Eresh Kigal or am I calling Inanna? Okay, is it morning Venus or evening Venus, visible Venus or invisible Venus? And so you want to tune to Crassiatasio, and that is my go-to, because you want to look at the sky, see when she's visible, when she's not visible. And we have absolutely gorgeous Venus talisman. The moon is from Libra. It's not aspect in Venus, but we are reaching her by the merit of rulership. Okay, if we go to, let's just keep it at that. Okay, and this is another way where you can use the moon to reach a planet, is even if it's not aspect in a planet, is by the merit of rulership. Or decanic rulership or stuff like that. So this is yet another way which we can reach Venus. And I'm very, very grateful for the work of Austin Kopok and the work of Caitlin Kopok for exposing the elections, because that is practical knowledge that allows you to just observe the artist at work and learn from it. And that is something that is very, very important. And yes, I'm trying to deliver my thought process to you as I received it. Okay, just watching what is the election, what is done, what is this, what is that. So it will be available for the people who would like to watch it. Of course, to take a magical, astrological magic course is important. Already began to do this, but even when you do, okay, if I take, let's say, Crassiatasio, and you have to fast for 10 days before the election, difficult for me to do that. So I will do what I can, but already I had the Venus as a Resh Kigal. And so, of course, it's not instead of taking astrological magic classes to deepen, but if you don't have access, whether to payment method or right now the coinage is going, the currency is going crazy, then to have this available for you to just begin to work. And you'll see that sometimes even if as charity, you buy the courses because you give reverence, and this reverence is also fiscal, okay, in spirit and in matter. So that would not be possible without good artists, good astrological magicians exposing the process of their work, both because it's important for you to know as the client, but this allows you to delve into the science and to start practicing, especially now when we talk about, all the Me Too related stuff, satanic ritual abuse, cult stuff. Then yes, of course, it is fantastic if you have good relations with the teacher that checks what you do at the work and so on, like Roman Kolov. And of course, the talismans are, you can get into coins from that are recycled and really, really fantastic stuff. But if you want to be able to practice and recover when you're not a part of secret society, when you're not able to enroll in studies in such a way where you create a dependency and intricate solutions, okay, intricate relations between teachers and gurus and so on. Not just me too, okay, it's just these intricacies. Observing the process is now available when we document the process and we allow more people to participate. And there is also less ego infused, because if somebody just watched your work and they give you reverence and they do their own thing, which you don't have to sign your name on, okay, it can alleviate, it creates some other tensions, but it can alleviate the egoic tensions that people have around teacher-student relations and create more sovereignty for students, which is highly important as we embark upon the age of Aquarius. We don't want to replicate patronage and the incest involved. We don't want to replicate satanic ritual abuse. We do want to have ability to share information from a more sovereign place, and share our practice, and still pay reverence. And it does not negate financial stability, but actually enhances it. So that is a part of what I'm doing here with this channel, is I'm learning with you. But I'm very, very grateful for all these things to be available and to have actual practices, like actual talismans that work in my life that I created. The last time when I was in my moon days, I used all the talismans that I had and nothing was suffice. And then I took the talisman that I made that I thought not to put because I need another energy. And the talisman that I made, and it was the only thing that calmed me down. Okay. Because at that point, that was the teaching. Okay. and mind you, I have some talismans. Okay, so the point is that, oh, you will see it also for you. Okay, if you create something, you see, oh my God, it's a big thing. Let's take someone who's been doing this magic for I don't and use their talisman, that and that, and you see nothing helps, and then you take your talisman. It's like, oh shit, I actually did something here that works, and that's a part of the experience for when we create something that has a contribution and effect and impact on the world. So very, very grateful, okay, for the Kopaks, for Christopher Warnock, for Helwas Astro, for Krasia Tasio, and for the teachers that introduced them, for Lada Duncheva, Christopher Warnock, Chris Brennan, and the podcast, and the many astrologers and colleagues that take place in that. And yes, I'll see you in my next episode. Bye-bye.